Let's move on to our player ratings, and we're going to start off with big Fraser Forster. Sim gives him a 2. I gave him a 3. I did give him a 2, but the only reason I gave him a 3 is because I actually thought he made some pretty good saves in the first half and also in the second half as well. Obviously, he did his best to try and give the game back to Manchester United and let them back in the game, which they did get let back in the game, and it was 2 horrific errors. Let's get real. I mean, it was like one after the next. It just got from bad to worse. The first one was bad, and then the second one was just absolutely horrific. So his first bad game probably since coming into the team since Vicario's injury. But it was horrific.
I gave him a 2 because of that save, literally. But I think without that save, he probably doesn't even get a 2. So. Terrible mistakes from Fraser. I think he'll know it. He clearly looked very disappointed after the game, and it wasn't his greatest game, of course. He was a horrific performance. Those mistakes are inexcusable. I think he'll know that. Hopefully, Ange, can try and work on why that happened and try and get him to play the ball quicker. Terrible mistakes, but I can't give him any more than 2 because I even think on the third goal he could have done better as well. So I think all 3 goals he should have not conceded because of Fraser. So terrible day for him. And but look, he did make 1 good save, so it doesn't get a 1.
Pedro Porro up next. 6s all round for Pedro. I felt like he just kept leaving loads of gaps behind him. To be fair to Pedro, though, I thought this was probably his best display in recent weeks. I think he's been that bad. I felt on the ball, he was growing in influence as the game wore on, and obviously it was his shot that got parried out for one of our goals as well. So I thought it was a lot better for Pedro, to be fair. I still think the frailties were there defensively, but on the ball, he was getting back to it.
See, I'm the opposite. I actually thought defensively he was good.
Really?
Yeah, and I thought on the ball he was a bit sloppy. I thought he kept giving the ball away. He wasn't making right decisions, I thought, a lot of the time.
Do you not think, though, like as the game progressed, he was growing in influence on the ball?
I thought second half he was much better. I thought first half, his passing wasn't good at all. I thought he kept giving it away really sloppily. He did have that shot though, which was good, but
that was just Spurs in the first half, wasn't it? We couldn't make 2 passes.
Maybe. I looked at his passing accuracy, it was 61%, which is ridiculously
low. That's really low, yeah.
I think defensively, actually, he had a lot to contend with, and I actually think he dealt with it quite well. He had Dalot continuously on that left-hand side there. He had Bruno inside as well, kind of buzzing around, and he had to deal with 2 players. Decky wasn't really mucking in a lot in that first half, especially, and he had to basically make a lot of tackles, make sure he's getting that front foot in, and being quite solid. I actually thought he didn't get beaten too many times down that right-hand side, and considering pretty much that whole time he was there, he had 2 players to contend with. He actually did all right. Especially second half, I thought when Garnacho came on, he dealt with Garnacho really well. Garnacho barely had a sniff, so I thought fair play to Porro on that occasion. But again, it's classic Tottenham problem with wing backs. We don't know how to defend against it. We don't know whether Porro's guy is the wing back or is it the forward, and that's been continually a problem. And if Man United had a wing back who could attack, we would have been in a lot more trouble. Thankfully, Dalot's not great in the final third, and that's what I was saying before the game. Because I wasn't worried about Dalot in the final third because he's just not that great at attacking, and I think it showed. But if it was like a Kirkes or a Robinson, I think we would have been in more trouble yesterday.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. I just felt like he just kept leaving just too much space on that side.
But that's my point. He had no choice.
Yeah.
Either he gets Porro or Dalot.
Yeah, it's a fair point. But let's move on to Radu Drăgușin. 7s all round for us. Another player who's playing really consistently well at the moment. I felt he was a leader at the back. How many times did he make a clearance yesterday? I don't know the numbers, but it seemed like every time it got back there, he was just there to bat it away. Really combative display, and he did everything really calm and measured. And we mentioned it in the preview to the game, but he's really coming on now with the more game time he's getting.
Yeah, it's doing in the world of good. You can see that, because before then he was kind of struggling for consistency and rhythm, and that's quite important for a centre-back, and I think he's really got that at the moment, the way he's playing. And I thought he dealt with Højlund exceptionally well. Højlund couldn't really get any joy out of him. Anything that came into the area, he was clearing. He made a really crucial clearance right at the end of the game as well, to make sure Man United weren't getting any sort of advantage when the ball was pumped into the area. I thought he was physically dominant, really growing into that role as well. I mean, maybe a 7's, maybe because we conceded 3 goals. And maybe as well, in my mind, that first goal, I know Forster makes a mistake, but I don't know, is Drăgușin in the right position? Could he have manoeuvred for that goal? I mean, it's harsh to put any blame on him for that, but I thought he was brilliant. Maybe on the ball as well. again, I'm still not seeing what we see in our other centre backs maybe on the ball from Radu, but defensively, I can have no complaints because he's doing a brilliant job.
Yeah, and his partner, Archie Gray, we're going to give sevens to as well. 18-year-old stepping in at centre-back, unnatural position, and he's flying. He really is at the moment, and he's forming a really nice partnership now with Radu Drăgușin. How many important tackles and interceptions did he make yesterday? Quite a number of them, and he seems to be flourishing in this role, and he's so versatile, can fill in so many different areas, whether it be full-back, centre midfield, centre-back, and any role that he's asked to play, he seems to just accept the challenge and do it quite comfortably. So I can't praise Archie Gray enough for the way he's coming into the team and just seamlessly kind of fitting in. The only one little gripe, which I'm not going to put him down too much, is passing it back to Fraser Forster at that time, but that does not account for Fraser Forster doing what Fraser Forster did. Yes, Archie didn't need to play it back, but it's not exactly his fault for the reason why we conceded the goal. So, yeah, good performance from Archie and a 7.
Yeah, I thought, again, another really solid display. There was one point he actually did lose his man, and if you watch back the Xerxes chance, the header which Forster saved, it was Archie's man, and he did let him go. But apart from that, I thought throughout, Højlund couldn't really get the better of him, and especially Højlund being a big physical striker, who's you expect him to look at Archie going, I'm going to bully this guy. It's almost as if Archie, it's a bit like similar to Ben Davies, where his physical attributes, he's not going to be bullying anyone, but because he's got brilliant kind of timing of tackles and brilliant positional sense, that's what really gets him out of trouble a lot of the way. He's such a clever player, and that's what sets him apart. It's his mind, it's not his physical attributes. And on the ball as well, there was a number of times where we're being pressed in the corner, and he's taking the ball under pressure. He's playing little triangles out of trouble, and it's absolutely delighted to see. He's not scared to play the ball in really difficult scenarios, and that comes with his composure, and that's one of his biggest attributes. I thought another really solid showing. Him and Drăgușin are really doing the Lord's work over the past 3 games, because imagine like a Winks or a Skip having to fill in there. Like, would they be able to do what Archie's doing right now? I just don't know. I've got no confidence they would.
Definitely not.
Archie's doing absolutely brilliant at the moment, and considering we've got 3 centre-backs out and they're having to fill in every game at the moment, they're doing a brilliant job.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move, and like we said, unbeaten since they've come in. Rangers, Southampton, and now Manchester United, and we haven't lost a game since we've had these two at centre-back pairing. So, unbelievable job that these guys are doing for the team. It really is. Let's move on to Jed Spence. 8s all round for Jed. What another top display from him, this time at left-back. 2 top displays in a row, which makes you think, why the hell have we not called on him earlier in the season when we've seen our fullbacks flagging a little bit. Look, he was always an option on that left-hand side, wasn't he? Going forward, even defensively, I thought he did such a good job, and an unbelievable assist. That ball in behind to Dom Solanke, well, not in behind to find Dom Solanke, was of the highest category. So 2 assists, 2 games, 2 starts. Long may it continue for Jed. And also when he got taken off, he got an absolute hero's ovation walking around that stadium, the whole stadium getting to their feet and giving him a massive round of applause. So big up to Spence, because he deserved that.
Fantastic again from Spence. He's going from strength to strength, it seems. And I think on that left-hand side as well, obviously he had Mazraoui down that side giving him a bit of trouble, and he dealt with him really well. And actually on the ball, what I love about him, he's so positive. He always looks forward. He always looks for opportunities to drive into space, and he did that a few times yesterday. And I think what I really like about him as well is when we're playing short and we're penned into a corner, he's not scared as well to try and play his way out of it. He's not just booing it forward, safety first. He's trying to find little ways to break their press and set us back on the front foot. And Spence was one of the only ones who's actually doing that quite effectively yesterday. The other players were giving it away too easily, and he was doing a great job. Again, on the left-hand side, where I do think, even on yesterday's evidence, he's less comfortable there than he is on the right, but he's doing a great job on that left-hand side, and I think he's really contributing to the team. Obviously got involved in the second goal, where he plays the ball out wide to Son quite quickly, and which sets us up on a chance. Involved in the third goal with a brilliant assist through to Solanke. Brilliant weight and brilliant timing of the pass as well to get it through to him. I don't think Doggy would have played that pass if he was playing. It was a pass that a midfielder would have been proud of. So brilliant there from Spence, and he just works so hard for the team as well. And that fresh energy and that physicality and that pace that he has, it's really adding a lot to the team right now. I would say once Ahmad came on, he had a bit more of a struggle than maybe Anthony. Anthony kind of gave him a bit of a free ride in that game, and once Ahmad came on, there was a bit of a different kettle of fish. But I think overall, brilliant performance.
Yeah, I was just trying to think, like, how long was he on the pitch? Oh, he went off on the 91st minute, and when did Diallo came on?
He came on, what, 60 something?
Yeah, fair play. Well, he came on 55 actually, but yeah, 100%. I agree with that. But let's move on to Yves Bissouma. Sim gives him a 9. I gave him an 8. I thought for 70 minutes it was an absolutely top display from Bissouma. Defensively, I mean, I was sitting there behind the goal and I was thinking, how many times is Bissouma going to block a shot? It was unbelievable. Every time Man United were looking threatening and they take a shot, Bissouma was there every single time to block it. I thought it was a brilliant display, combative in the middle of the park, going forward as well, showing off his dribbling ability, which we haven't seen in quite a while for Yves Bissouma. And look, sheer work rate, and he needed to respond in this manner because he hasn't been great over the last 3 or 4 games, and he's come in with a bit of a rest because of the suspension, and he's put in a really top display in my opinion. I do feel like in the last 20 minutes, you know, nearly scored that own goal, maybe could have done a bit better from the corner as well, that we did concede. So there were a few couple of iffy moments in there in the last 20 minutes, but I thought for 70 minutes it was a really top display.
I thought it might have been the best display of the season, that first 70. He was incredible, I thought, on the ball as well. Looked so much more confident. He was gliding past players. His passing was crisp and it was effective into feet and making the right decision. I thought he was dribbling as well. The Man United midfielders couldn't get near him. I thought it was a big reason why we're able to get into their half consistently and create openings. And I thought his aggressive nature in the centre, which I think sometimes is lacking in his game, where he's not too much proactive defensively, you know, looking to nick the ball in. Sometimes he's a bit too reactive. And I thought yesterday, very much a proactive approach from Yves Bissouma, getting in the faces of Ugarte and Eriksson, winning the ball back in really good spots, and that was really, really good stuff from him. I think he had, he made like 6 tackles during the game, which is incredible number for someone like Bissouma. I think maybe that game, you know, he had a suspension. I think that break probably did him good. He looked 100%. A lot fresher in this game, and I think it did him the world of good having that one game off. Last 20 minutes, like Spurs, obviously we were under pressure. I think, again, he actually made a lot of good tackles, but he didn't nearly score that own goal with a terrible touch in the box. The corner didn't show himself in great light. But I thought overall, probably for that 70 minutes, his best display of the season. He was absolutely phenomenal. That's the kind of Bissouma where if we get that Bissouma every game, would be brilliant in that. It would have no problem with him being our 6th. The problem is we don't get that Bissouma every game, but he was, I thought, phenomenal in that.
Positive as well that this weekend is the last for Bentancur's ban.
Yeah.
So the workload is going to be shared a lot more after this weekend. Let's move on to Pape. Sib gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. I mean, bundle of energy this guy was. And I felt like him and Bissouma together did such great work for the team in the middle of the park. He hassled, he harried, he didn't give anyone a moment's rest on the ball. And I thought he played such a pivotal role in that win yesterday, particularly in the moments when we were on top. Like, he just kept gathering the ball, kept running at players, kept putting players under pressure. And I thought off the ball, he was sensational.
Yeah, I think he wasn't as good as Bissouma, I don't think. I think he did well. I think he gives those intangibles where he obviously was helping a lot with the midfield and with the wing backs flying forward. He was getting back in position. Obviously, he did get booked in the game as well. I think on the ball, he was a bit better than he was off the ball. I thought off the ball he could have done a bit more, actually. But on the ball, he made some really good passes in the final third and set up a few chances. Actually, his ability to nick the ball in the middle of the park did set us up for some really good opportunities. But don't think he was maybe as involved or as good as he was maybe in the Southampton game, but it's still a pretty good performance from Pape.
James Maddison, Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. To be honest, I did expect a bit more from James Maddison on the back of the performance he had at Southampton. I was kind of saying before the game, I think I was saying it to someone that if James Maddison plays well, Spurs usually play well. And I think he played okay. I don't think he was amazing by any stretch of the imagination. I expected more from him creatively. I don't think he made a key pass throughout the game. However, he did put in the cross for, was it Decky's goal?
Yeah,
and really good movement and really good ball into the dangerous area. But look, he was buzzing around and he was busy throughout the game, but I just feel like the moments of quality were missing a little bit.
I think, it wasn't his best game by any stretch, but I actually still think he provided quite well for the team. He was picking up really good fouls when we needed him to relieve the pressure. And obviously, one of the fouls he picked up was the one that led to the opening goal. He was obviously his movement led to the second goal. Really good movement on the byline, getting beyond Mazraoui and his cross, causing chaos, which led to Decky scoring. He played one beautiful pass. I remember that first half in the middle from the left-hand side, right into Porro's path in the centre, which really opened up the game. But Porro didn't do enough with it, and I thought that was a really beautiful moment for it as well. I thought he linked up okay with Sonny at times on that left-hand side, but I think they kind of both of them kind of didn't make the most of a lot of the opportunities they had. But yeah, I think, again, it wasn't one of the... Sometimes when he doesn't score and assist, people look at him and think, oh, what's he done? But I think he still provided well for the team.
Next up is Dejan Kulusevski. Sim gives him a 9. I gave him an 8. And his goal made it 4 goals in his last 4 games for Decky. And we've been saying this about Kulusevski, right? You know, unbelievable season. But we know he's got it in his locker to provide the goal contributions as often he's doing it now. And it's great to see him do that. It really is. Getting himself in dangerous areas, poacher's effort to put it in the back of the net, right place, right time, timing and positional sense, really, really good from Kulusevski. But he just, he was in the Decky zone yesterday, wasn't he? He was so aggressive. He was buying fouls. They didn't know how to deal with him. He was being so aggressive. I just loved his performance yesterday. I would have said, like, maybe he has had better performances this season, but that one's right up there as well.
Yeah, another game where he started on the right-hand side and still contributing. But again, I don't know whether Ange is giving him a license just because he's Decky or Decky's taking it upon himself. But when he plays on that right-hand side in the last few weeks, he's definitely coming a lot more central. And that goal carbon copied the position he was in Southampton. Again, something that I've been on Decky to do more when he's on that right-hand side is get into the box when there's a cross coming in. And last 2 games he's done that and he's got goals from it. And also the goal he scored, that's not easy. I know it comes to him quickly. I know it's not far from goal, but on his right foot, he has to get it into the corner when it comes to him very, very quickly. And it's a really good finish as well from Decky. So fair play to him because I think the goal is easier. It looks easy. He makes it look easier than it is, I think, to score that chance. I thought he was giving Dalot so much trouble. I don't think Dalot could handle him on that side. I thought Lissandro Martinez as well was really, really struggling up against him when he got opportunity. I thought he was so physical. I thought in that first half, he was also our biggest creative spark. The way he turned, I can't remember who it was, he turned someone in the box. Song gives it the ball into him. He just turns him inside the box to create a yard of space and forced a really good save out Bayinda. He nearly forced an own goal out of Ugarte as well with a really good ball across the face to goal. I just thought the whole game, he was giving Man United so much trouble and they really didn't know what to do with him. And it's good, again, you know, that's him playing on the right-hand side, on the wing, and showing, again, he can still perform that role to quite a good level. And as you say, 4 goals in 4 games now, and those goal contributions are starting to get a lot more regular. That's what, I don't know if you watched his interview before the game. He did an interview with Sky pre-match, 14-minute interview, and he was saying, there's just one thing missing for me, but until I can say I'm a world-class player. And he's like, work on my shooting. I need to work on getting more goal contributions and long shots as well, shooting from outside the box, he said. And once I've got that in my locker, completely like a second nature, there's nothing stopping me. And
he's going to go into further beast mode.
Exactly. And look, we know he's capable of it on the odd occasion, those great goals. But once because we know he can just get himself in those positions at will because of his physicality, and once he gets in some of those positions, and just there's nothing stopping that quality, then he's going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, absolutely. What a season he's having, Dejan Kulusevski, and now really starting to add those goal contributions on a regularity and even get the goals. 4 goals in his last 4 games is absolutely brilliant for him. So long may it continue. Next up is Son Heung-min. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. I felt like he had something in him yesterday where he just this team ain't losing. He had that kind of mentality about him. I felt like he kept geeing up all his players around him and giving words of wisdom for all the players around him as well, and he kept hovering around that Sonny zone where we know he can be really dangerous yesterday. His positional sense was brilliant. He kept trying to force the issue, and came up with a real clutch moment with that corner. Whether he meant it or not, it's a clutch moment nevertheless. And look, if you put it in a dangerous area, you're always going to ask the question of the goalkeeper to either make the save or whatever. So he probably gets a mark or 2 up just for that, because it just came at such an unbelievable time of need for us, for Sonny. So the Captain Marvel stands up when the team needs them most. And I don't know if you saw after the game, he was in conversation with Archie Gray. Looked like some words of wisdom were being said.
Yeah, true. And maybe you're saying, Archie, why are you passing it back? And obviously that's the leadership ability. I remember I was thinking with John yesterday, he was saying, we conceded 2 goals. He's like, this is why, Son's not a good captain because look, where's the leadership? What's he saying? I'm like, we're not there. I don't know what he's saying to the team. I'm not. The camera's not on Son there all the time. Like,
I thought he was doing that though.
Yeah, I'm sure he was. That's my point. Like, when you're watching it on TV, you don't see what's going on in the game, how he's talking to players, all that kind of stuff. That's all stuff you need to be at the game to see. And it's easy to criticise from the couch when you don't see everything that's going on. And I think he always shows a lot of leadership ability, Son Heung-min. Obviously, the corner, whatever you want to say about whether he meant or not, it's a brilliant delivery either way, right on the money. And it meant that either it gets a touch by Indus scrambling, or if everyone misses it, it goes all the way in. And that's because of a brilliant delivery from Son. And we know he's got that enemy. He's got that whip on him on that delivery. I thought he was a danger throughout, to be fair, albeit could have done a lot better with some of the positions he took up. But I thought Mazraoui was never comfortable against him. Involved in the first goal, laid it off for Porro, who had the shot and obviously led to Solanke. Involved in the second goal with brilliant link-up play with Maddison on the left-hand side. And obviously his run, it was a good ball from Spence in behind, and his run led to the corner, which led to the goal. So I think throughout, Man United can never be comfortable around him. I think he'll be a bit disappointed with some of the positions he took up. He didn't do a bit more, but still really positive display from Sonny.
And last but not least,
and also I think, what was that, 3 games in a row he scored? Chelsea,
3 games in a row, yeah.
This one, and
we didn't score against Rangers.
Okay, Rangers. Well, 3 against Premier League opposition.
3 domestic games in a row.
3 domestic games he scored in a row. Everyone's saying he's on poor form.
Yeah, 3 in his last 4. So brilliant stuff for Sonny. Let's move on to Big Dom Solanke. 9s all round for Big Dom, and he was my man the match yesterday. I felt like he did the most incredible work for the team yesterday. His work rate is second to none. The way he drops deep, his link-up play, his hold-up play, his little touches and passes in the midfield to set the team up on attack, his work rate to get on the other end of the pitch and to put the ball in the back of the net. The first finish was an incredible finish, an understated finish. Yes, the keeper's parried it out to him, but he gambles on it, he beats the trap, and he sticks it in the back of the net in terms of kissing the post and putting it in. The second goal, he picks up on Spence's pass, commits the defender, and it's the first time we've seen him score a goal like that in a Spurs shirt, and it's a brilliant goal of the highest degree. But this guy's work rate and his quality is absolutely brilliant. And I think the last couple of games as well, he hasn't been completely at it that we've seen for the majority of the season. But yesterday was banging up there, was probably one of his best displays in a Spurs shirt. Yeah,
I think overall as well, just brilliant forward play. So often we give him the ball in situations where I think a lot of other, especially look at the striker on the opposition team, the amount of times that he got the ball into feet and gave it away because he wasn't strong enough and he wasn't able to hold it up and he wasn't able to bring other players into play. Whereas you look at Solanke, he drops deep, he holds off 3 defenders and pops it off to a Spurs player, and all of a sudden it sets us up on an attack. That's exactly where the second goal came from. The ball played into him into feet. He's got like 2 defenders around him. He holds them off, quickly pops off to Spence, and because Spence was able to get out wide to Sonny very quickly, all of a sudden it meant those 2 defenders who were on Solanke had to track back very quickly to get back in position. Maybe that's why that caused the chaos, because they're scrambling to get back, and all of a sudden the ball comes in and the clearance is poor, because that all comes from Solanke. Brilliant forward play. The first goal, brilliant forward play again. Anticipation, sniffing out chances where's the ball going to drop, keeping himself onside, and an excellent finish as well. Getting them once the ball falls to him. That's not an easy finish. Tight angle. The keeper's now set again, and he hits it in off the post. Excellent finish. The second goal, brilliant individual work from him. Something that we haven't seen enough from Solanke, the ability to get on the ball, make it hard for yourself and just get that shot off and bury it. And I thought he did a brilliant job of that yesterday. Also the ability to run in behind and stretch the Man United defence to make him think that he's not always going to get drawn towards the ball. He can also run beyond you. He can use his pace to trouble you in that way as well. That's also something I think Solanke needs to do more, because he's so physical and he's quicker than he looks. I think he doesn't use his pace enough, but he can get away from defenders. He's not slow. So he used his physicality brilliantly there, and I thought it was a brilliant, in terms of a number 9 performance, that was exceptional stuff from Solanke. A brilliant striker's performance. And we know I think he's been brilliant since he's come here, but obviously we want him to score more goals like that, and once he does that, people will see him as one of the best strikers in the league.
You know what though, I agree with you what you're saying, a brilliant number 9 performance, but it was so much more than that as well, wasn't it? He provides so much more than just what that classic number 9 provides. I mean, he drops deep. He's basically playing in the middle of the park for the majority of it as well.
Incorporating a brilliant number 9's performance, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah, I guess. But, I feel like when you're looking at number 9s in the Premier League, there's not many that do what Dom Solanke does. That's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. So, like, when you're talking about a classic number 9 isn't always like spending the majority of his time in the middle of the park where he's doing, and how physical he is and how hard it is for him to get the ball off him, and how much he wins the ball in those areas as well.
And what's great about him as well is, as you saw, like, he doesn't touch the ball that often. He only made 15 passes yesterday, but he's really maybe he touched it more at Bournemouth, I don't know, but he's really starting to get to grips with the fact that when he gets the ball, he has to make the most of it, because a lot of the time he's in and out of the game. But yesterday he was so effective with the little touches he had, the little amount he had, and that's a real impressive trait of his. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, every time he got the ball, he used it with quality, 100%. Bergvall is the only sub that we're going to rate. You've given him a 6 all round. I mean, he came on with 10 minutes to go, including the 6 minutes of stoppage time, and I just felt he added extra energy to the middle of the park. He no real.
He just likes ruffling feathers, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I mean, obviously the goalkeeper, he was he had a slight arm on him. Let's just say that. And look, he just added a presence and some energy in the middle of the park. I don't think there was too much signs of quality that we saw in the last couple of games from him. But it just adds to positive impacts.
Yeah, and again, he came on and got, I think we're going to start calling it now his customary booking, because he seems to get booked a lot. Yeah. And he again had a little bit of a thing with Bruno. Bruno came in and I think put a bit of shoulder to him, and he went down, and a bit of an argy-bargy there. I think he just came on and made himself a nuisance, added a bit of energy. I don't think he did anything exceptional, but kept things simple. And look, what I like about him is he comes on and he just makes himself known that he's there. You know, he's on the pitch, and he doesn't waste his time on the pitch. And I like that. And he has that bit of shithouse where he winds people up. And I think it made a positive impact. So fair play to Lucas again.
And last but not least, big Ange Postecoglou. Sim gives him a 9. I gave him an 8. After a really, hard moment as a Spurs manager from the Spurs fans as well, it feels like he is kind of hopefully coming through the other end now. Look, I don't want to speak too soon because we've got we've got difficult games to come, and we've obviously got the semi-final to come.
But don't you feel like even if we lose those games, the feeling won't be as bad as maybe I guess it depends how we lose, but won't be as bad as maybe it was against Bournemouth?
I hope so, but I feel like the way he's managing the team right now with the injuries that we do have and getting us over the line, a draw away at Rangers, whatever you want to say about the performance and whatever you want to say about the context of the group, a draw away at Rangers ain't bad.
I think the context of the group is good.
Yeah, but in terms of the quality of the team, should I say, 11 on 11, our 11 against their 11, no matter how many injuries we have, we should have won that game. But in the context of the group and everything else added to it with the atmosphere and how good Rangers are at home, and particularly in Europe, a draw is probably a good result. 5-0 away at Southampton, an absolute battering. If you batter anyone like that in the Premier League, no matter if they're the worst Premier League team in the world, it's still a good result. And now this game, going into the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup against the Manchester United side, with these 10 injuries, I think you've got to say, since that period, he's managing the team pretty well over the past week or two. So I got to give him a lot of credit, because I've given him a lot of criticism over the past couple of weeks. I think he managed the game really well. Yeah, I thought maybe changes probably could have happened earlier in that second half when Spurs were coming under the cosh, but we only came under the cosh yesterday because of crazy individual errors from Fraser Forster yesterday. That's what put us under pressure. And Ange can't account to that. So I felt like
changes could you have Bergvall and Johnson, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, we could have put in a few school kids,
Yeah, really?
I'm joking. But look, no, I can't fault Ange Postecoglou for the past week or two.
He brought Reguilon.
We didn't even mention that. Sergio Reguilon. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
Reguilon last game was April 2022.
It's madness. I couldn't believe it when I saw him.
That must be the longest ever a player has played and then not played and then made another appearance for Tottenham. The longest gap. I wonder if anyone, can you think of anyone who's made a bigger, maybe Bale, probably. But Spence? Maybe Spence. No, because Reguilon was before then.
Was it before then?
Yeah, Reguilon was before then.
Yeah, I can't think. Yeah, Bale's probably one, but Bale actually left the club. Reguilon was always on the books.
Anyone in the chat? I can't think of anyone, but yeah, incredible. Reguilon came on for 5 minutes?
Yeah. But look, regardless, I think all the criticism I've given to Ange Postecoglou, I think are warranted and were warranted. But you also got to give praise when it's due, and I think he definitely deserves the praise right now.
Yeah, mustering up a performance with the options that we have, with the defence we got out there, and the fact that we're playing, the same players at the moment because of the injuries, and they're all out on their feet. To get that level of performance out of them in a big quarter-final where everyone was saying this is the biggest game of the season, everyone was saying, we need a trophy. Everyone knew the importance of this game, and against a club, yes, I don't care. United rested a few players as well. They still had a good team out there under a good manager in Almarim. It was never going to be easy. And the fact that we got the win over the line, we were 3-0 up, and we should never have let them back in the game. And I don't think it was any fault of Ange that we did. I think it was a brilliant management from him, and I think he deserves so much praise for getting a performance. How many teams could get a performance like that out of their team against a team like United with the injuries that we have? I mean, I think it deserves more praise, to be honest, because imagine a team missing their first choice goalkeeper, their 3 first choice centre backs as well, their left back missing as well. Players of the level of Bentancur also missing. So many important players missing, yet we managed to muster up a performance being 3-0 up, inside 55 minutes. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and I think we just need to give this project more time. I think we can see when things are clicking, we're very, very hard to stop. And once we get our players back, I think we're going to be even harder to stop. And I'm not saying we're going to win every game once all our players are back. I'm sure we'll have losses there as well, but I think we can clearly see where this team is going, and I think it's in a positive direction, despite the fact that the form over the calendar year hasn't been good enough. I still think I see enough from this team to suggest that Ange can take this team in the right direction. And look, I'm delighted with the win yesterday. I think Ange deserves a lot of credit for it.
Yeah, and we just need to keep going now. We need to keep going. And Ange always wins something in his second year. Exactly. So we're in a semi-final now. First time since, we lost to Man City in the final. Is that the last time we were in a semi-final?
Yeah.
Back in COVID times.
I'm trying to think.
2021?
No. The season after that, we lost to Chelsea in a semi-final.
So that was 2022.
2022.
Yeah.
That was we played, and again that was a semi-final. We played terribly in it, and Conte was ours because we have injuries. That's why we're playing bad. And look, I guess we've used it as an excuse for us as well recently, but we didn't yesterday. That's the main thing.
Thing is, when we lose, I know Ange has mentioned it, but he never uses it as an excuse. Whereas all the other managers, like the Contes, the Mourinhos and stuff, always did use it as an excuse. And I kind of like that about him.
Mourinho famously said, "I got a gun with no bullets."
Yeah, do you remember when we lost to Leipzig in the Champions League with Mourinho? And after that game, he was like, "What do you expect me to do? I got no players."
Yeah.
And we've probably got more injuries now than we had then.
I think so.
So, look, that is our player ratings from the 4-3 win in the quarter-final against Manchester United.